Hello, I'm Spike Turner. This is my submission for coursework 2 for audio processing and effects. It's called Blue Deep, and you open it up and you're met with these master controls. There's the master fader with an RMS at the top there. There is a mute below that and the bank of patches. So opening up the drone, we have the Brasso Pad 1 from the Yamaha TX8 This was in my plan. Just below that you have a granulizer. Click the load sample button to load any sample. Make a selection and click and drag to create a range. Points will be randomly selected from within that range. Some of these dials affect both the Brasso Pad synths and the granulizer, and some of them are respective. You can click those little buttons to undo and clear points on the envelope. So moving on to the one shot, there's a mix up here. You have an FM synth, it's a sine, an AM synth, saw, and that last one is FM and AM together with 3 carriers, sine wave and 2 squares. At the bottom here, you can select which wave you want to edit, and below that, you have 3 envelopes to choose from: an amplitude envelope, a frequency envelope, and a modulation envelope. Moving on to the sequencer, let's turn it up. So you press the metronome to start the cycle, and you can adjust the gain of individual waveforms and select the waveform you want to edit from the drop down. These 3 dials affect individual waveforms, depending on which is selected, and the 3 dials by the sequencer affect all of them at the same time. The 5 numbers can also select the waveform. Length adjusts the envelope's size, start to finish, its x-axis width, and attack and release are the attack and release of those envelopes for the waveforms. Moving on to effects here, crank this up. This is not a mix per se, it's a wet-dry ratio, so the dry signal still comes through even when it's off. I'll just play around with this. It's mostly self-explanatory. Any dial you can hover over in this whole program and it will tell you a little bit more about it. And the good thing about this setup is you can layer the different synths. Just remember to mute them when you're not using them. So a few things I would change. I should start by saying the presets for the sequencer, they don't communicate through sub-patches. And it's because I use nested B patchers and nested encapsulation. I would like to add better graphical buttons, kind of like here. I would like to add mutes on the patch bank, some pan pots, and some user interface revisions. That's it. Thank you very much.
Weather, love it or hate it, it's literally all around us. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But what if we could harness the power of weather for good? Some have tried, making such trivial things as electricity, but we want to harness the power of weather to create music. Famed bass player Jaco Pastorius is best known for playing with the Weather Report. In his honour, we've created Jaco in a Box. Jaco in a Box also plays with the Weather Report, but not that Weather Report, this Weather Report. So how does it work? Just connect Jaco in a Box to your computer and load the software. Choose the correct ports for your input and output boards, enable the input, enter presentation mode, and you're ready to go. Now select a ticket for your destination from our preset selection and scan it on the marked place on the box. And Jaco in a Box will make music using the weather parameters for that city. Choose from lots of destinations and see how they sound, like Seattle, Wellington, Lisbon and Birmingham. If you have delusions of grandeur and would like to control the weather itself, you can change the weather parameters manually to see what different conditions sound like. Ramp up the temperature to see what life will sound like in 20 years. Or down into a terrifying ice age. Change the weather state to whatever you fancy. Through storms, hail, snow, other parameters can be accessed using the parameter control knob in conjunction with the parameter select button, which selects which parameter the control is affecting. You can choose between wind direction, wind speed, air pressure, visibility, and humidity, with the updated values being represented on the screen.
Hi, I'm going to talk you through a tutorial on how to use the Module Width stereo widening plugin. First of all, I'm going to go through each feature and talk about how it can be used in regards to how the plugin works. So first of all, we have an input section here, which can choose whether the input takes a direct mid-side already encoded signal, or whether it takes a stereo signal and encodes it to mid-side. I'll choose stereo here because the track we have playing in the background is stereo track. Second of all, we've got a mode switch here. We can either choose to manipulate one full band, the full track, using this one stereo widening control. The right adds the width, getting rid of the mids and adding more side components, while going left will add more mid components and taking away side components. Down the bottom here we have a modulation section which has small but wave type selections, an on switch with a mod amount and frequency slider. If we switch to the multiband mode, we now have 3 separate multibands which we can manipulate individually. So for example, one might want to keep the lows a bit more mid so we can still get the kick and bass coming through, while we can manipulate the higher frequencies and middle frequencies to spread wider. Up the top we have a crossover frequency selectors which let us manipulate what crossover bands these parameters are working at. We can solo these to have a listen to see which ones we're doing. So here is the low mids, where you can see the frequencies coming down, so maybe we just want under 250 getting manipulated by the low width controls. We can then solo the highs and see what it's doing. Maybe we want 5000 Hz on the highs, so now we have our crossover points of 250 Hz for the low to mid control and 5000 Hz from the mid and high width control. We can solo the mid one as well and see what it's doing. We then also have each control has its own independent LFO. So here we can activate the low, and selectable wave type as well. We can then go ahead and activate the high one. And if we select high here, we can now choose its waveform, its amount, and its LFO rate. And if we wanted, we could also have the mid on as well. If we select mid here, maybe choose sine wave for it. Lastly, we have our output section. We can choose whether to output the signal mid-side, where each speaker has its independent side to it, so the mid will come at the left and the sides will come at the right. Or we can completely solo the mids, or we can completely solo the solos. I'll keep it on stereo just now. We then have the ability to change the phase of each track and a gain slider. So I hope that helps, and that's a very quick tutorial on how to use the Module Width stereo widener plugin.
Making music with others can be an inspiring process. The input of other musicians can influence your own output. 2 musicians work together, leading each other through an improvised performance. However, when you make music alone at a computer, that sense of co-creation can be lost, which could leave you feeling a bit uninspired. Now, technology may offer a solution. In this project, a software tool was developed which provides an accompaniment for a solo musician. The system can react and adapt to user input, generating an accompanying melody in real time, and additionally, if the user likes the melody they hear, they can alert the system, which will in turn attempt to generate melodies similar to those marked as favourite. Essentially, the system's an algorithmic composition system, and that's one that uses a set of rules to generate its output. When we listen to music, we form expectations about what should come next. Research into music cognition, or how we understand music as people, has shed some light onto our musical expectations. By using insights from this research as a rule set for an algorithmic system, the hope is that the music generated will be in keeping with what we would expect to hear. At the simplest level, you could look at a 3-note melody. The musical interval between notes 1 and 2 would suggest to us what note 3 will be. The system is created in Max, and it was also incorporated into Ableton Live through the Max for Live platform. It starts by examining what the user is playing, things like what key, tempo, the intensity, and how busy the playing is. It then generates a rhythmic pattern, and through the rule set employed, and taking into consideration what notes were previously in the melody, it populates the rhythmic pattern with all these notes. And all that happens in real time, improvising and following the dynamics of the player. Now, as I've been talking, there's been a 3-chord pattern playing in the background. Let's hear those chords again, but this time with the computer playing a melody along with me.
Celtic Renaissance Campus is essentially it's a celebration of the kind of young talent that we have at our colleges, universities. In Scotland and actually in other places, England and Ireland and abroad as well. Both behind the microphone, if you like, sort of thing, you know, all the artists that we're going to have here. But it all started off actually to give my audio students the kind of experience of doing practical work and the kind of practical experience of that. So it's a fantastic live experience for the students to learn about live sound.
I would say it's a really good overall experience for just to get in touch with more equipment. As you can see, there's bigger equipment behind me than we used to, and also just talk to artists and I don't know, just overall get more experience of the festival.
It's a really good experience, and it's dead important you need to like more hands-on experience for like job rather than just doing all the theory integral stuff for it.
We go out live on Celtic Music Radio. Celtic Music Radio is a local community station. They have a large listenership across the world. And this year as well we're going out on Trad TV. So Trad TV are an online TV channel, and they're a great supporter, like Celtic Music Radio, of traditional music in Scotland. And they're specialists actually in streaming from events, and they've come along and helped us with streaming today.
I love these concerts. I love that it's a free event, so you'll always get a really nice, happy audience that, you know, are there to just enjoy an afternoon of music. It's exciting as well having the radio involved and having the cameras and the Trad TV and stuff involved, because it does just bring another element to the whole event.
I've played in a few other different projects and ensembles and things before, but this was a really nice listening audience and a really nice sound on stage, and just a great place to do our very first gigs.
I think we've had consistently the best audiences in terms of numbers, but not only that, the quality audience we get are just absolutely fantastic. They're very appreciative of the new talent that we're going to see, and lots of good compliments as well about the video streaming and on the audio streaming.